Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I am at my crystal cottage and I am going to be doing a repotting video for you today all about my beautiful Ficus elastica Robusta next to me here. This was a little cutting I found left on the roadside in southern Spain when I was there on holiday. I took about 5 stem cuttings around 30 centimeters long and brought them home and water propagated them. And of the 5, only this one survived. And I am so pleased with this plant. This plant has grown, well, as you can see here, it's very tall. It's probably 1.30 meters tall now. So think, it was right down here. And I've had this plant now 3 years. So in 3 years, it's grown all of this. I am just so pleased and amazed with this plant. And this year, for the first time, it started flushing out a new branch, but in the wrong place. The branch is growing out at the bottom here. And I will take you in for a closer look so you can see that and the whole plant. But I have this branch down here that I want to prune off and put into a separate pot on its own. And I'm also going to be pruning off the top of my plant. Oh, I don't feel very happy about doing this, but I really want to encourage this plant to start branching out so that it doesn't just continue as one long stem as it is right now. And I'm going to be doing this now because the plant is showing me that it's ready to do so. As I said, the first stem down here at the bottom growing out beautifully, but wrong place. And I can see along the stem where the other leaves have fallen off, that is starting to push out new stems. So that means if I go in now and prune off the top, I should encourage new stems on the main stem here. And I'm hoping that's what's going to happen so I can get a lovely bushy tree forming plant now. So this is the original green form and it's been indoors the whole time. It's getting bright indirect light. It's in this porcelain pot that I brought home from Beijing with me. Beautiful pot that has no drainage holes at all in it. And when I potted this plant last time, I did a video on that out in my garden. I put it back in this pot with this lovely plant down here. This is Eucharis amazonica, a kind of lily, and they are bulbs and they just come up constantly all year long. I'm going to be separating this plant from my Ficus elastica Robusta this time because I'm going to be repotting it into a terracotta pot, and these Eucharis amazonica need more of a moist soil, so the combination here isn't your perfect match, but these plants have been like this for a while now and it's been doing absolutely fine. So I'm just going to separate these, put these into a plastic pot with soil and let them flush out better, hopefully. But altogether, as I said, I've been watering this plant, no drainage holes, and my plant has grown out an extra 30 centimeters every year, no problem. But now that I'm going to be pruning it back and separating all of this, I want to put it straight into a terracotta pot so that I can water it and know that it's going to be fine without getting overwatered, because this isn't a plant that likes to be overwatered. It does like to dry out between waterings, and it can take periods of drought. Actually, it does very well when I'm not here for weeks on end and come back. This plant is always okay, so I'm very happy about this. I have a love for this plant because I just found it there, as I said, and I brought it home and I gave it the chance for a new existence, and it's really been rewarding me. So let's get on with getting this plant out of the pot it's in, into its new pot with its new soil, and then I will prune it back. The soil I've already mixed. It's a gardening mix, mixed with a lot of sand, mixed with a lot of leckables to keep it aerated and loose this time. And I've also mixed in biochar to help with the biodiversity in the soil. But other than that, I have no perlite or anything like that this time. This plant will be absolutely fine in its terracotta pot like that. And I think it's going to speed out some growth this summer because I'm doing this at the right time while this plant is wanting to flush out. So I'm really crossing all my fingers and toes that this plant is going to branch out in the right places near the top of the stem. But anyway, before we carry on with that, I forgot, let's go in and have that closer look so you can see the new stems and how this plant looks closer up. So we'll start with my beautiful porcelain cash pot down here. And then you can see, as we go up, all of these lovely dark green leaves. And as you go higher and higher up the stem, the leaves get bigger and bigger. And this year, they really have grown out big. This was just one small twig, you can say, from a huge Ficus elastica Robusta tree that I saw in the south of Spain. And they were just throwing parts of this plant out on the street because the tree was enormous. And just think what you can get from a little twig, a whole new plant that is turning into a tree of its own right. And I really, really can't wait to see this branch out now. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this plant closer up. Let's get on with the repotting. Got my little porcelain eggs here to take away. I've got some stakes here that are holding up this Eucharis amazonica leaves because they fall down. Oh, take those out. So now I'm not going to be worrying too much about losing leaves on the Eucharis amazonica down here. As I said, they're bulbs, they will rejuvenate once they're repotted. I want to focus mainly on my Ficus elastica Robusta. So this plant, when I did it last time, I remember had a big root ball and it's probably filled up this whole pot. So before I do this, actually, I need to get some soil in the bottom of the new main pot first. Time to get my hands in the soil, and I love that. So that should be enough at the bottom. Oh, look at this sunshine gracing my face. I love it. It's so nice when it comes to summertime and I can actually stand out on my terrace here and do this in the sun. But I do need to be quick because this plant hasn't been out in the sun, so too much direct sun will actually start burning the leaves. But remember that. I'm thinking I might let this plant stay outside, but I'll be pushing it around the side where it will get bright indirect light, and see if that's going to help this plant turn into a beautiful tree this summer. Right, I have this plant tied to a bamboo stake because it's thin, and the taller it gets with these bigger and bigger leaves, it's getting too heavy for itself, it will just start leaning over and could snap. So I'm going to have to try and bring it up as much as I can with the root ball, with the stake and everything, and put it into this pot. I'm just loosening around the edge first to make sure it's not tight to the side of the pot. And another good thing about being out here is I don't care how much mess I make all over the terrace because I can just sweep it all off. Oh, this is coming up with no problem whatsoever. That was easier than I expected. Long roots here. Wow, look at this. I'm going to bring these roots in so you can have a closer look quickly. Look at the gorgeous roots on this plant. Very, very happy, very healthy, and not too much, so perfect for me to be able to put into its new pot. Let's do that quickly before they start drying out. In we go. I actually need more soil in the pot. Let's be quick here. Lay this down. I was expecting so many more roots that I didn't put that much soil in here, but we need to remember this is a tree, so we don't want to be planting it so that the bottom of the stem is lower than the top of the soil surface, because otherwise the plant will get smothered. Which way do I want to be forward? That way's the nicest side, so that's where all the leaves are facing forward, so we want it to be like that. So now I think I've got the height right, I just need to fill up with soil. I had to use my trowel as support as I'm not an octopus. So let's see how we're doing here. Get the soil around, and then I can start pushing the soil down around the edge of my plant. And, of course, straightening it up. Just a little bit more soil and I should be completely done with this repotting. So there we go, there it is. My plant is already repotted. That took no time at all, very easy. So I can just go directly in now and cut off this young shoot on the side to make me, hopefully, a whole new plant. So before I get on with pruning this plant back, I just want to get on and take out all of these Eucharis amazonica bulbs out of my porcelain pot, put them into a smaller plastic pot so that they will be ready to carry on in a new pot themselves. And I'll bring them in so you can get a closer look of these lovely bulbs when they come out. So I just had to do a little bit of reorganising here on my little tiny table that I'm working on today. So I've got this lovely white cashpole pot with a plastic pot inside so that I can water these plants, and if I should overwater I'll be able to take them up out of the pot and just check that they can drain out. But these plants do like to stay much more moist than the Ficus elastica Robusta. But as I said, they've been fine together, but now I think these will get a better quality of life and be able to sprout out much stronger once they get a more moist situation than they've been in. They're quite easy to get up. I lost a leaf here, out in the garden with that. As long as I've got the bulbs, then I will be able to carry on, right? Just a few more to get out now. So I think I've got all my bulbs out. Let me bring them in so you can have a closer look at them. So here we are, this is what they look like, all these bulbs. And I've had these for many, many years. I think I got them around the same time as I bought our cottage, so that's near enough 6 years now. They've been going on strong, growing out new leaves like this every year. Look at this, fresh leaves. And they get the most beautiful white flowers on them if they're happy. Now I bought them with lots of white flowers, but since I've had them, they've never flowered for me. So they need to be in a perfect condition to be able to flower for you, but they get these beautiful long white flowers. So I'm hoping now with the repotting that they will take off and maybe flower for me. So I'm just going to put them all in the middle of this pot together. I'm not going to fuss about with these, just put them in the soil and let them re-establish themselves, and then they'll take off. So there we are, that's my Eucharis amazonica repotted, and I'm just going to leave these like this. You can see from all sides, droopy and so forth, but these are going to take off and do fine for me. As I said, I've had them so many years. So even if they haven't been totally perfectly in the right condition, they have been survivors. And my beautiful pot I have in front of me here, I will empty out the soil, I will clean off, and then I'm going to find something beautiful that I can put into this pot. I'm actually thinking that my Ficus benjamina might want to go into this pot, because that's been doing really well for me, and I showed you that in another video. But whatever I put into this pot this time, I will be putting a larger plastic pot in here so that I will be able to lift it out and keep this as the beautiful cashpole that it is, instead of planting directly into a pot with no drainage holes. So I've had no problems with my plants, as you see in this situation, but it's always best to be on the safe side and make sure you have drainage holes. So right, you guys, now it's the moment of truth. Time to prune back my Ficus elastica Robusta and put the top cutting and the bottom cutting into one new terracotta pot together, directly in soil, and cross my fingers that they are going to make it. Now I've seen different techniques for this. You can do it in water, as I said, I did with mine, but I had 1 out of 5 that survived. They very easily rot out in water. I think the best thing for Ficus elastica is to put it straight into soil, but you're going to have to make sure that you keep it warm and in bright indirect light to coax this plant to root out as quickly as possible, so that it doesn't just rot out for you in the soil as well. The soil, moist, never oversaturated, never too wet, otherwise it will rot out. I would suggest actually this soil now is quite moist, so I will not be watering these when I put them into the soil straight away here. I will be leaving them. When the soil has dried out, I will water again. I will let it dry and I will water again. Even though this plant hasn't got any roots yet, I think it's a safer bet to let it dry out very slightly, then water again. That's what I found with some of my other plants. For example, Sansevieria dracaenas, they like bright light, they like to be watered in the soil and let to dry out, and then the risk of rotting them out is much more reduced. Let's get on with this. So I just needed to untie the top and then prune away. Now when you do this, I just want to say be very careful, because as you can see, the sap is going to drip out, this white gummy sap. If you get this on your fingers, it's going to irritate your fingers and close up your pores. It's poisonous, it's not good for you, it's not good for your animals, not good for anything. So just be careful with it. Just make sure you wash your hands, don't get it in your mouth. I should be careful here waving it around my mouth. But I do want to show you this close up. It's not going to be very damaging, but I'm just saying, you know, be careful with the sap. But there you go, there's my top cutting. I've got these 3 beautiful big leaves on this and a new one coming out. So I'm really hoping that this is going to make it for me. Now, you can let your plant callus over at the bottom for a couple of hours or so and then put it into the soil. But I'm just going to go straight ahead and put it into the soil. And the same with the bottom cutting. And I'm just going to hope for the best. I have my lovely big plant that's doing so well for me. So this would just give me extras if I'm lucky. But at the same time, I want to experiment and see what's going to happen. So another quick snip here. So here we go. This is the little bottom piece that started growing out. And it's very nice. Perfect little stem. The only thing is, these leaves have actually been in some way damaged by something. If you look at that, been damaged by something, either insects or when the plant was trying to push out, because I remember it was trying to push out this leaf for the longest time and it got all caught up and I saw it started getting marks. But at the same time, I think it got a little stressed and somehow got attacked by something. I'm not sure. The other leaves seem to be fine. They do have actually, no, I can actually see that this younger plant here has got thrips on it. How? I don't know. And this plant is not usually one that gets a lot of insects and so forth. But this little piece here has thrips on it, so I'm going to go in and wash it off thoroughly with soap and water, and then I'll be ready to plant it. But the rest of the plant does not have this problem, never has. I've never seen this on any of the plant. So something must have happened with it as it started pushing out. But this is no problem. I can go and wash this off easily now. And I'm actually going to cut off all of the lower leaves on this plant and just leave the one at the top. So that will all be gone. So I have my beautiful cuttings here all ready and cleaned off. I've been in and washed them thoroughly. No bugs left on them now. This little bottom piece here, I took off the bottom leaves and left the top one and the top shoot, as you can see here. So that is absolutely perfect. And then I have this big one here with these 3 leaves and its top shoot, as you can see there. They're going to be put into one pot together and I hope they're going to flush out into a beautiful little plant for me. So quick and easy, simple. I'll put the bigger one in first so I can check out where I want it to be. Over on this side, little hole with my finger, into the soil, and away we go. That's it. Leave it like that. And then the next piece. Just like that. Lovely. So there we are. I have a new Ficus elastica Robusta plant. 2 cuttings in their terracotta pot. Lovely leaves. Look gorgeous from every single side. And I just hope they're going to take off. So now I need to take these indoors and have them in the same position as they were before. It's a warm room and we get light filtering through into that room from the west side, west facing window, and that gives a lovely amount of light to keep this plant happy and warm. So I hope these cuttings are going to take off for me. So that's me all done for today. My beautiful mother plant here with the top piece cut off and the bottom piece, but I can see new stems coming out here. So I'm hoping now that she's going to flush out new branches. I have my cutting down here, my 2 cuttings. I hope they're going to get roots and become a lovely new plant for me. And I have my lovely Eucharis amazonica lilies here that should also be able to take off and grow out lovely new stems. And as I said before, I have some of these metal sticks, and they are basically to just put in around like this. So when you have a long leaf like this that's flopping over, you can just tie it around these stakes. But these leaves are too short for this now in this pot. These are too long, these stems. I will keep them in there anyway, because when new ones come out and they're longer, I will be able to put them around these and the plant will look beautiful. So, if you have any questions about my beautiful Ficus elastica Robusta or the Eucharis amazonica and the repotting technique that I've used, write them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for me and others of how to do this in another way, write them in the comments below. And I thank you very much for watching. I thank you very much for subscribing to my channel, and I really hope you enjoyed seeing this video today that I've made to inspire you to get on and work with your beautiful plants. And if you have a chance to be outside in the sunshine and do it like me today, well, it's a bit cloudy now, but who cares? Then do so. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.